Welcome back to Factorio Space Exploration. My name is Nilaus, and we are here back with our second episode on our very modest start for the space exploration. Don't worry, there will be more episodes, but they'll probably be once a week with summary of what has been going on over on the Twitch stream, and then sort of replaying it here for you in case you either missed the streams, or you don't want to watch the live streams, or you just want like a half-hour update on the progress and the thoughts behind all the stuff that went on there. But of course, if you want the full experience, and also you can see a lot of creators here, there are a lot of bombs that are dropping, and it's a super fun and engaging part. That's what happens over on the live streams. So consider subscribing, like the video, head on over to Twitch. Now we said all those stuff, and then we can get started with the actual video for today. The first thing is about the plan for today. I want to make sure that because space exploration is such an expansive project, then I want to make sure that I build a good structure early on that we can then use much later, and it will not have to rebuild the same thing again and again at a little bigger scale. So how are we going to come up with a design that fulfills a couple of criteria? It is scalable, and it is not the same thing we've done a million times. So what have I done a million times? I've done a bus base a million times, so we're not going to do a bus base. This is as much bus as we'll get. I'll do something else. The first thing we need to do, or the objective for this video, is to get to blue science, because it's a major step forward. We're now stuck here at... we have a lot of sort of small things we can do here, but we'll run out of red and green and military science soon enough. And once that's done, there'll be a long break until we get to blue science. So the objective today is going to get to blue science. The first thing we want to do is we want to get to some cliff explosives, so we get more freedom, and then we can start establishing some structure, because we can't establish structure if we are constrained all the time by cliffs. The first thing we want to do is get some steel up here and get them steel into our little jumpstart base. And you can see some things are a little bit derelict because we've been blown up a few times and it takes a while to reestablish it. But down here we have our pretty good iron build, and it'll keep feeding more. It needs to be updated as well. But at least for now we have, let's see, there. And we can now get some steel into the jumpstart base, and then we can start working on what should then the steel be used for. It comes in here and emerges on this line. So I'll just start cleaning that line up, because it's going to be needed for a few things, such as here. And we'll also clean up that line here, and then we can start building some of the next things we want to do. The hub is extended with power poles and better power poles and some stuff here. Let's see, if we have any stone would go in here, get into stone bricks, and that will just keep filling up this part as well. If we had some, so that we can also get some more steel furnaces. We get the chemical plants and refineries, because that's something we want to work on. And then, of course, as we start scaling up, we are going to have some issues. It's funny how the car changes color when you jump in and out of it. That's just that's a fun thing. Of course, it's only the first time. And those damn cliffs explosives are not here yet. But we are sneaking our way down here. That I have built a little thing for us. Yeah, ow. That's just the best mod. There are many good mods in the game, but the ow is by far the best one. There we go. I have built a little thing because we were running out of power. Nothing really magical about this, but we now have some steam power, and that is significantly better. So we're just feeding in here, taking this coal location, making it into fuel, because we get 10% extra fuel by doing this conversion at the and we also have a higher compression. Then we can feed it down here. Normally you cannot have a yellow belt feed an entire column here. If it's working at full speed, then it is consuming coal faster than the yellow belt can carry it, but that's not the case when it is the fuel canisters. So we're actually good in this case. So we can feed it just with a yellow belt. And the other one is not built yet, but that means we have a ton of power right now here. Let's see, we have mainly from this, and we could also just switch off the burner turbine because they are not as efficient. We can do that at some point, but there's yeah, we'll get to it. But definitely we have 112 megawatt and we're using 10 megawatt. We are good for power for a long while. With power sorted, we can start doing more expansion. We can start working on oil, because we can't really get into the oil part without making sure that we have power sorted. What we can also see here is that copper is actually the bane of our existence right now. We are getting just a little bit of coal, a little bit of stone, and a little bit of copper coming from our initial locations. So that's going to be a problem. That means we need to tap this copper and feed it in. Copper is sorted, brought back to the base, getting fed into our single copper smelting column. Could maybe be 2. If I can remove this, I can sort of shift it over and make 2 if I want to. And it also feeds in here to the military science, which is also going to need copper. And then we of course have, well, we don't, but we should have this being the priority. Oh, it is a priority here. That should be, so that we can clean out this area as fast as possible. We have about, what is it, 11k copper, 11k stone, and 5k coal. So that's going to disappear very, very quickly. Now that we have a copper sorted, stone is not as important, but even if it was, then we could just tap some stone up here. We can tap that and go in here. Coal, we can tap it from here. So that really means that now we can use all of the stuff we have here. We have built quite a bit of the resources here, and we are ready to get them out. For some reason, this is not working. I need to figure out what is missing here. So we need to get some refineries. We get some chemical plants and a lot of pipes, and then we can go down here and tap this location. Our first modest oil industry is now up and running. We've hooked up these locations. They go up here, get into a very modest oil facility. This oil facility actually uses water, unlike the normal one. It actually uses water in space exploration, so we have to get some water from up here. Not a big deal, but we just need to remember it. Then I'm going to take my petroleum, feed it in here into sulfur. Why is sulfur the most important thing? It's not for the blue science, although that's also needed, but it's going in here for the coal. There's a very small coal location here, but we'll take it. Going in to make explosives, because I want those damn cliff explosives in my hand, and I want to just blow up every single cliff there is. At this point, I'm looking at it, and this is where we really need to stop and think about it, because what happens now is that I'm going to start looking at this and saying, oh, that needs steel and plastic, and this one needs actually iron coming in here, and I'm already getting coal in, and then we get plastic down here, which means more coal, and then I'm suddenly getting like steel and plastic, and then I could get the steel here, but then I'm sort of replicating my starter base down here as well. That's starting to sort of not feel great, right? And this is exactly the part that is the core of this episode, is that this is not nice. This doesn't feel nice. I mean, we get the cliff explosives. That's awesome. And we're going to blow up every cliff we see anywhere. But there is also this this sense that I'm moving down a dead end. This is a dead end if I start allocating these 6.3 million for something like this and make dedicated smelting for it. It's going to be something I'm going to regret. Maybe not today, but soon and for the rest of your life. Did anyone get that reference? And therefore, we need to do something else. So this is the point when we take a step back and think about what is it we want to do. Well, we are now getting oil. That's good. And we can continue from here, getting the sulfur. Then we can make some iron, or we can make some blue science, because that requires red circuits become plastic. Plastic comes from petroleum and coal, so we can get that here. We can get some green circuits, because that requires some copper and some stone, which is just over here, so we can make that here. And we can make the steel and iron coming from here. That could go into that part, but it could also go into the engines that are used for the blue science. So you know, we can build the whole thing down here, and then it'll become a separate build. Now, this is what I want to do, but I also want to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where I have now locked myself in to take this beautiful location and this beautiful location and only using it for something else. So I need to make something that we can do right now, but also something that can open up and become available to everything else. And there is, of course, one answer to that. And the answer is, of course, city blocks. And more than just city blocks. But in this case, we start by laying down a massive foundation of city blocks. This is something I can do off camera, and this is what I have done. So we could just whoosh away, and then we have city blocks established everywhere. You can look at it like this. Of course, a lot of things are not aligned to the city blocks. This is atrociously aligned, and there's nothing I can do about that. Well, I can tear it down, but I can't do that just yet. But the stuff that is new, I have sort of just moved it a little bit. So I moved the steam engines a little bit back, so they're inside of a city block. I have moved the oil production here so it fits. I moved the sulfur, I moved that, and then we can go in here. So what we need to do now is start allocating things, or allocating different locations. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to say, oof, this is oh my god, it's difficult to find stuff here. Right, that's going to be blue science. Then we're going to get red circuits. Oh, look at me saying blue science and red circuits correctly. Wow. Only 7,500 hours for me to actually get things right. And this will now be making into steel. And it's also going to make into iron as well. So that's cool. Then that's here. Then let's make another city block that will be using plastic. That will be down here. Then we can look over here. We have a city block built, right? Yes, yes, and yes, 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 yes. There we go. So this here, this is probably going to be what is it called? Copper smelting. It's going to be right there. So we get it from here. Get some copper smelting. Then we can get some. We're just trying to sort of lay out the foundation of it, and then we can start sort of filling in the different things. This, or maybe even over here, will be stone bricks. And then we can take copper and stone bricks are the ingredients for green circuits, which will be, kind of missed it there. I guess that's where it's going to be. Then you are incorrectly placed. So this is what I mean by needing a structure, because if we have this structure, things just get a hell of a lot easier. So we get this into stone, this one into copper, and then we can get into green circuits. The green circuit will have to sneak all the way up here, or all the way into the reds. The reds will also get plastic, and they'll get some copper. We can get iron and steel coming from this one and get into that. So how does this actually get us anywhere in terms of getting I don't know, like more utilitarian? What I'm just doing now is doing exactly what I said I didn't want to do, like making belts and allocating all of these beautiful resources for one thing alone. Well, let's start by looking at the plastic and seeing how that can be built in a clever way. So this is the plastic location, and what are we going to do? Well, let's take a look at our previous series and see if there's something we can reuse. And there are, of course, I have both here we have the design from, sort of the generic designs from my masterclass. That's good. We also have from base in a book, maybe. Main base here? We could implement this, but that's the bus base that I said I didn't want to do. Here's the plastic, for example. Or we have another option. That is the recent one, this self-expanding base. What if we take this one, because it's a city block base, and then what if we just stamp it down here and say, why not? That means all of our city blocks will be train based. They'll be using small trains. And the reason why I can do this, or the reason why this is a good idea, is that then I can make plastic here. And the plastic, right now I can build it so that it comes in with the coal coming in from here on a belt, and the plastic going out on a belt up to the red circuits. But later on I can put it into a train, and then it can go wherever it wants. And likewise with all the other things, they can right now be connected with belts, but I will then not have to redo the whole thing when I want to implement something and make it more generic. So for example, this is a great copper location. We can mine the copper. It can go into a copper smelting. The copper smelting will currently go into the green circuits and the red circuits, but eventually it'll go into a train, and the train will then figure out itself if it should go into this one or that one, or maybe something up here, or maybe something over there. And that means we are now using what we can from the self-expanding base and trying to fit it in here. And of course, I'm not going to make it with red belts because that's too expensive. I'm not going to make it this big because it's too expensive. I'm not going to make the trains because, oh my god, building trains is annoying when you don't have robots. So here's also another thing. Do we build robots first, or do we build trains first? I'm going to build robots first, so we're going to be doing like hard teching up to robots, so that we have a little bit of a robot build that we can then have, and then the robots will start laying out the train foundations. The trains will then then we'll do a transition into trains. So the first thing we want to do is get this plastic up and running. And here it is. It is generating the first bit of plastic coming out here, and we get the coal coming in on a belt, and then the plastic coming out on a belt. Now we can take this plastic, that is going to be the first ingredient, that we can then put into the red circuits. So what are we going to do from here? Well, we can just basically go to the red circuits here. We can go to our self-expanding base. And by the way, all of these blueprints that you see here, that I'm here, they are part of the save games. So if you're a patron supporter, you get access to all my save games, and then you can grab the blueprints and the blueprint books. I have stopped publishing blueprint books because it was a pain in the ass. Every time I made a change, I would have to update the book, and there would always like be this continuous endless cycle of updating, especially for a base like this, where I'll be having a lot of designs. Some people might want my design here, where I have now added trains as well. I don't think it's good enough for my quality standards, but maybe you're gonna be like, hey, that's a cool start. Then as a patron supporter, you can download the save games. There will be save games from every at the end of every stream, which is corresponding to pretty much every YouTube episode as well. So you can grab it, you can grab the blueprints as you want and as you need. That's kind of a little perk for patron supporters, that they get access to save games and the blueprints. So what we can do was, as I said, go in here, go there, and then simply just smash it down here. Obviously there will be some things like the corners here are not really working and some other things, but that's fine. And then we can start laying out, instead of making all 4 of these, I can just make a single one. We can grab the copper, the plastic in here. We can now get started on the copper out here and the stone as well. Copper mining is done, and it's here, and it just flows naturally into a copper smelting. Now the copper smelting from the self-expanding base is using electric furnaces. I don't want to use that just yet, because electric furnaces are using a lot of steel, stone, and red circuits, and we can't really just throw that amount of red circuits at this problem just yet. So we're doing it the old school way. That means leaching some coal and then having the steel furnace. It's just as fast, and it'll just work just as fine. So we're going to get here, and all I need to do is then lead it all the way this way back to the red circuit build, which is over here. Red circuit has gotten the plastic in, and it'll soon get the copper in as well. And then it's just a matter of working our way towards this, working our way toward the next one, which is going to be the green signs, or the green circuits, which will be located here. So let's sort of take the, go the easy way. For example, the stone furnace, that will be here. Obviously, this is also going to be changed to this part here. And also we can easily do green circuits, which of course isn't working at all, because this is a different build. In space exploration, it doesn't take, well, it could take the wood, but I don't want to use the wood, but it then takes stone plates. That's why we got it, or stone tablets, that we need to go here. And that means this is completely defunct and need to be redesigned. But it just sort of shows the location of where we want to build the different the next stops. Setting up a mining operation for stone and a stone smelter is not rocket science. It literally is not rocket science. So that's just being done. And we can then get on with the design moving forward. This is going to be the green circuit design. And let's see as close as we can get to our good old-fashioned design that has been tried and true for many, many years. The only issue here is that it needs stone tablet. It needs 1 stone tablet every 0.5 seconds. If we just happens to make a stone tablet builder in here, let's see, that's the one. It just happens to make 4 stone tablets every 0.5 seconds, and of course corrected for crafting time and all that. But that means this is going to be the core design. We're going to get this one in from the bottom, and we're going to get you out. I just prefer it this way. Here. That one, and up, and here. And we just also need, oops. Right, I think this is fine, and then I can just flip it, and then it should be okay on the other side as well. Alright, so inserters will be here, here, here. And these are going to go out on the side. The reason why I put them out on the side is because then this will be a repeatable pattern that we can then use for, for all we want moving forward. And if I just output them here, then they will always be put on the outer side of the belt, which is not really what I want. I want it to be on both sides of the belt. But if I put it like this, then as I replicate this one upwards, they will be putting on both sides of the belt, and then the belt will be self-balancing. I like that. These two, this one, and this one, and then get some. It has to be here, unfortunately. And that should be it. And also get a little bit of light. And then we can just have this as our pattern. So this is our module. I can just take it and then I can stamp it down like this, and it'll be here. And then, yeah, we can fill this up, but at least we have like a module that we can build. And after that, we have the copper coming in here. It's just been scaled up a little bit, the copper coming in, and we have the stone bricks come in. So all we need to do is just reorganize this in a meaningful manner and get the green circuits in. And the green circuits are now built. If we look at using the rate calculator to figure out how much, it is consuming 36 copper, which is obviously too much because I can only provide 30 in here. So it's a little bit overscaled, but on the other hand, it's 4 nice blocks. It's so much nicer. It is more than 3 blocks, but it's less than 4 blocks because each block is consuming 9. So it's 9 plus 9 is 18. And then there. So it's obviously way too much. We are or not way too much, but it's a little bit too much, but that doesn't matter. It's fine. It'll work, and it'll generate 16 or 24 in total. That'll be a little bit less than that, but let's say about 20 outbound. So definitely enough. We're going to take one belt over here, and we will then just do the last of it ourselves. That will go in here, and then just casually move up here so that we can start making the red circuits. The red circuits will just start working. They'll be put into a box so that we know that we have them. And let's just go. Hey man, these yellow belts are just awfully slow. And you're sort of, when the last time you played at the end game, and then you start over again, and then, well, it's not end game anymore for sure. So red circuits are building super slow, but at least, hey, we're building red circuits now. That is the last step of the way of all the stuff we need in order for us to make the blue circuit science, you know. Here, blue science is a little bit different. It takes 3 advanced circuits, 2 sulfur, and 1 multi-cylinder engine. But then again, it works on a 36-second cycle and provides 3 chemical science packs. So if I have 12 assemblers and assume that they were speed 1, then I would make 1 chemical plant per second. 36 of these would make 36 per second. So 12 would make 1 per second. And that's kind of my baseline. So 12 chemical plants or 12 assemblers would make that, because there's no point in making some of the signs way faster than the other. These ones are both designed towards 1 per second, but they can easily be scaled up to 2 per second. So I think I want to design my my blue circuit, blue science, damn it, according to 2 blue science per second. And then, of course, corrected by the crafting speed of this. And this is what we have right here. If we look at it, then it's, of course, 1.5 because it's the crafting speed of these. But I always just forget that when I do designs, as long as they're all the same kind of speed. And then we can go back here and see we need now 7 of these assemblers. We need 1 making the small motors, and then we need 2 making gears. So that's all we have to do is now take this and put it into a design that makes sense. And let's just get those down here so we can kind of remember where and what and why and how. So this is not really going to be a strained build at all. I have just stamped down the design for this from the self-expanding base, and then remove the inner parts of it so that we have the outline for the trains. And that means we should sort of figure out where we want the trains and how we want to get them in here. The last prerequisite for the blue science is the iron and steel coming in to make the engines. So we have the iron and steel build here, just a small build. Again, this should be going into trains, and then at that point I'll change it to either doing iron or either doing steel, but only one or the other, and then it'll come out here. It'll go up here, and I have built this beautiful little design. Now, obviously, these would normally come in by trains here, here, and here, or from these locations, but they don't, obviously, and that means I'm dragging it down here and then getting up. But I would get the iron coming in from here. That's the one over on this side. And the steel would be coming in from over on this side, which means it would be probably going up and down and in here. But at this point, it's coming from down south. And then on top of that, we have the sulfur coming from far away and the red circuit we just completed. Let's have this sort of go in and see if we can get it built in our new base. This one is starting to fill up on all the other things, but then it's just missing the engines. And engines, these are what is called single cylinder engine. They need gears, and once they're happening, then we get the first of these out, and then we get started on this part. It's just going to take a little bit of time for everything to come in. There we go. We are getting the first of the big engines out. They will be going out on the outside and then merging in on the same line as the sulfur as it comes out. We want to see the first ones come in so we can see that it works, and then we'll just confirm that it works. Yes, it is working. We are making the engines, the multi-cylinder engines, in a more industrial way to get into our blue science. And we just want to see it being picked up, so we can see the first one start working, and then we can start letting it go out. There we go. It is working. Now we just need to wait 36 seconds, and we also have this line, which I will then drag all the way back to our science facility. Blue science is working, and just gradually sending them out here. The last ones takes quite a while to saturate, because all the first ones will be picking up the engines, and only when they're saturated will it flow further up. But you can see that it gets a little bit further up all the time, so now it's only like the top 5 that are not working. Either way, I have let it stockpile up here for a little bit, and that means we can then set it in, and we now have blue science huffing and puffing. That is absolutely wonderful. That's exactly what we want, and we'll see that we're getting into the advanced oil processing. This is exactly what we want, and this is the goal of the build today. So what have we achieved in this episode? Well, first of all, we have made it to the blue science, which was my objective, so we can work towards next time getting some robots, getting some trains going, and then maybe, probably, honestly, after that, it'll be working on the first rocket, because even though rockets are blue science, it needs quite a bit of infrastructure to get that going. So not really heading into space just now, really building a solid standard base here. And speaking of standard, we've implemented a new system, the self-expanding base idea, with small trains, 111 trains, that are moving about. It hasn't been implemented yet, but the idea is there, and that means all the stuff that we have built today is something that will last a very long time, because it is part of a system that will last until endgame, the train system here. So that is something I'm really proud of, and I'm going to be really looking forward to seeing how that pans out. I hope you found it interesting and inspiring, maybe, or at least entertaining. So if you do, be sure to hit the like button. That helps a lot, the visibility of these kind of videos here on the channel. If you want to see more, if you want to be part of the design and the chaos of dropping bombs and just having fun and just chatting about life and everything, then come on over to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Nilaus, and I'm streaming regularly, but you probably need to stick to be on my Discord to see when I announce the next time I'm streaming. I'm usually streaming 1 or 2 times a week, and it might be a little bit random, so sorry about that. I'll also upload the VODs to my VOD channel afterwards, which you can also find a link to in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.